Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans. But they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
In what was an expected yet still shocking ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade. Now, there had been a leaked document suggesting that the Supreme Court was going to overturn this significant piece of law in the United States. Reaction from all over the world is in shock. I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. Brian, let's talk context for a moment here. The ruling today, as I said, expected. However, still shocking, but what does it mean moving forward?
Well, it doesn't suddenly criminalize abortion across the United States. That is something that basically the ruling, which was a 6-3 decision, it was down party lines, could not do.
The court's decision to do so will have real and immediate consequences. State laws banning abortion are automatically taking effect today.
It does turn it back over to the states, though. And we have seen some states, Texas most recently, looking to put restrictions on abortion. You're going to see a patchwork across the United States when it comes to abortion legislation. Some will have severe restrictions, some will have none. I can't imagine New York having any, or California, but you can see places like Texas having, if not strong restrictions, outright bans. Places like Florida, despite it being a Republican governor, probably much more in the middle. So it's going to depend on where you live, as opposed to what had been the case of virtually no restrictions. I mean, some compared to here, but virtually no restrictions due to Roe v. Wade.
As reaction continues to pour in, Warren, the U.S. is going to be going to midterms. Joe Biden remains incredibly unpopular. His administration is unpopular. But does this help the Democrats?
Well, that is the question. What is the political impact of this extraordinary historical decision of the U.S. Supreme Court? And I think we all know that Joe Biden, who, full disclosure, I volunteered for in his run for the presidency, he was going to be facing a pounding, Adrian, in the midterm elections, which are coming up in just a few months. He, like every president, gets in some trouble during the midterms, but Joe Biden was in big trouble. I think that this decision of the U.S. Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade is going to improve Biden's fortunes and that of the Democratic Party, because they're going to be able to say to American women, the U.S. Supreme Court and the Republicans, they want to control your body.
This fall, we must elect more senators and representatives who will codify women's right to choose into federal law once again. Elect more state leaders to protect this right at the local level. We need to restore the protections of Roe as law of the land. We need to elect officials who will do that. This fall, Roe is on the ballot.
They want to take away choice. They want to say what you need to do and should do with your body. And I think that that is something that will assist Democrats across the United States.
We've seen, Brian, that since the leak that this ruling was coming out, a lot of Supreme Court justices have been targeted. They have been verbally attacked, personally attacked. There's people camping out at their homes.
Plots against their lives. And
this is the visceral reaction that so many people are having towards it. We try to put these things into context in our own backyard. I don't know if we would see quite a reaction here as we would in the United States, but there are yet more controversial rulings coming from the Supreme Court.
They just had one that overturned a New York prohibition on concealed carry for guns. That's going to anger a lot of people. What's amazing is that what we're seeing in terms of stalking people, plots against the lives of people like Justice Kavanaugh, is this is coming from the American left. We are always warning that it's the right that's going to turn to violence. I will not be shocked to see violence happen on large scale across the United States over the coming days and weeks.
Let's bring this back home, Warren. This is a reaction, obviously, that happened in the United States. Canadians feel it personally. So Does this, in a political sense, just in terms of a narrative, does it help Justin Trudeau?
I think it probably does. You know, after the leak of this decision happened a few months ago, you saw Trudeau and a number of his ministers tweeting about the need for reproductive freedom and the need to protect abortion rights here in Canada. Even though the U.S. Supreme Court doesn't have any jurisdiction over Canada, there is an impact on the psyche of Canadian voters and Canadian female voters in particular.
The judgment coming out of the United States is an attack on women's freedom, and quite frankly, it's an attack on everyone's freedoms and rights. Let me be really, really clear. In Canada, we will always defend women's rights to choose and continue to work to expand access to the full range of reproductive health and services across the country.
So I think, yes, you're going to see Trudeau trying to take advantage of this thing. It could be cynical. It could be wrong-headed, could be a waste of time. But my suspicion is it is going to help him out politically because Canadian women are going to be concerned about the same thing happening here.
There are going to be so much analysis that comes forward on this. The state's responsibility, what the feds have done. There's a lot of historical context here. And you know, we don't have a direct impact on us here in Canada, but we have we feel it. There is going to be that, you know, women are going to be forced to go back into the alleyways, the coat hangers, the illegality of it. Put some of that into context for us.
I don't think that in the United States you're going to go back to, you know, the Margaret Atwood Handmaid's Tale vision of America that some people like to put forward. I think you're going to see local populations decide where the restrictions lie. In Canada, if you were to ask the population, we would not have the situation that we're in because most Canadians would actually prefer some restrictions. We have none up until the 9th month. And majorities, including majority of women, would say, you know what? After 6 months, you can't have an abortion except under certain circumstances. I think that's what we're going to see, and it really will depend. But it will also, as Warren was saying, motivate Democrats to come out. The overturning Roe v. Wade has been an incredible rallying cry for Republicans for decades. Now the Democrats have won, and that will see Democrats and swing voters rally around an unpopular Democratic president. Justin Trudeau, as Warren was saying, he's going to try and use it here.
And to that point, Warren, purely from a legal perspective, as you're a lawyer and you've read through the decision by now, could something in this regard happen in Canada? And if it could, like, what does that look like in our country?
I don't think so. You know, the decision in Canada that determined the abortion question is R.V. Morgentaler back in 1988. And in that decision, the Supreme Court of Canada said it's up to Parliament. Parliament has to decide whether they want to put forward a criminal law limiting women's ability to have an abortion. And since 1988, successive governments, conservative and liberal, under a number of different prime ministers, have refused to open this up. And currently, along with the Liberals and the New Democrats saying that they're not going to touch the issue, you've got the leading candidates for the Conservative leadership, Pierre Poilievre, Jean Charest, and Patrick Brown, all saying that they're not going to touch it either. So I think in Canada, notwithstanding the extraordinary events in the United States today, notwithstanding all of that, I think that there isn't a Canadian politician who's smart is going to try and recriminalize abortion.
Certainly a controversial ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, but it won't be the last one. Log on to Facebook and Twitter, let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.